I don't even know where he makes this stuff up. If Jay-Z is probably laughing right now. If he saw this interview, he's probably laughing.
Bill Courtney, to your knowledge, was he part of any sort of a hip-hop task force unit?
No, not to my knowledge. He was in Queens. He's a Queens guy. He's from Queens. And listen, I'm sure he has a background in investigations, that he's done cases, federal cases, just like I have. Everything he's done, I've done also. Right. So he's done federal cases and everything else. The only thing is, my scope of employment with the PD at the time was to work on the hip hop music industry. Right. That's why I was there. My focus was to find out about the violence in this community, why it was done, why rappers were victims and why they were perpetrators, and to answer to certain people on the job when needed to be. Don't get me wrong. I had my ups and downs too with the department when these bosses were calling me, asking me certain things, because remember, the police commissioner doesn't want to call your captain or say, hey, look, what's going on in the case. He wants to hear it from the horse's mouth. He wants to hear it from the guy who he knows that knows about this industry pretty much. So that's why they called me.
Right. I think it was Sweeney or Cadigan, one of them. I think more so Sweeney. He had said that he had bumped into some event into Jay-Z and Beyonce, and then here you are. Here's Derrick bodyguarding for them.
At a club in Manhattan and ran into Jay-Z. Like, I didn't know him, but right. I almost bumped into them, you know. But people taking pictures and everything, and Beyonce was there too. And then I just turned to go around like the fray, and who's working for them there but Derrick Parker, right. You know. And I don't know if he was off. I can't remember if he was off the job or not. But I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
He's one of them guys. He keeps showing up.
Any truth to that?
Okay, here's another mistruth that this guy spoke. I don't even know where he makes this stuff up. If Jay-Z is probably laughing right now. If he saw this interview, he's probably laughing about how dumb a statement that is. I never ever worked for Jay-Z and never worked for Beyonce, never. Anybody in the music industry will tell you that I was never part of their security, entourage, or anything. The only time I dealt with Jay-Z is when he got arrested in Midtown North in the car with his bodyguard, Hamza. Right. Big Hamza. And Big Hamza was arrested for having possession of a firearm. As a matter of fact, they were all arrested. But Jay-Z was later let go. And I spoke with Jay-Z, but he didn't want to talk. He didn't say anything. I spoke to him briefly, and he didn't want to talk. He didn't want to say anything. He wanted to wait until he spoke to his lawyer to do anything. But eventually he was let go, because I think the bodyguard owned up to having the gun. And, you know, listen, these rappers have it because they have it for protection. They're scared of other people that might want to go out and do harm to them, or maybe rob them, or set people up. And you remember, you're bodyguarding a big client. But as far as me bodyguarding Jay-Z, no. And to make a statement like that is just asinine. That's basically what I can say.
Overall, to end it, what did you think of that whole little piece where they mentioned you? Like, how do you feel any animosity?
You know what? At first I did, but then I looked at the guys that it's coming from, and I laughed, because, you know, to go on a podcast and to say things like that, you got to really know what you're talking about. Don't make things up, but don't talk about hearsay. I'm never going to talk to you about everything I'm telling you right now is what I remember and what I know. I'm not telling you about who told me or what happened or this and that. I'm telling you the truth about what happened. I've always been that type of guy. If something happened to me where I did something bad or I got in trouble, I would tell you, but I was never like that. But I would never make up a story like that and go on a podcast and lie about it.
Right.